Welcome everyone in yet another live webinar session organized by KCM Connect, a well-known IT consultancy service provider organization. On behalf of the organization, I, the host Chakraborty, coordinating this webinar. Today, our speaker is going to discuss on a fascinating subject of space. The title of today's session is Baby Universe in the Laboratory by Dr. Jajati Kesri Nayak. Dr. Nayak, who is currently associated with Theoretical Nuclear Physics Group at Variable Energy Cyclotron Center, VECC, Kolkata. He was born and brought up from the state of Orissa. He was awarded degree by Homi Bhabha National Institute for the work done at Variable Energy Cyclotron Center, Kolkata. He had successfully completed his fellowship in nuclear science from Bhabha Atomic Research Center, popularly known as BARC, under Department of Atomic Energy, Mumbai, and pre-doctoral in plasma physics from Institute of Plasma Research, Gandhinagar, Gujarat, before working at VECC, Kolkata. He is also associated with various reputed organizations in different capacities, like life member of Indian Physics Association, member of Examination Committee in North Bengal University, West Bengal. His work is basically related to the phenomenology of quark glucon plasma, a novel phase of matter. The early universe, after a few microseconds of the Big Bang, is expected to exist in such a phase. Today, we are going to listen some fascinating scientific yet supernatural facts from Dr. Jajati Kesri Nayak. Before starting the session, let me remind you some rules of our webinar. Webinar will last for 40 to 45 minutes, where our esteemed speaker will share his valuable ideas on the issue. Thereafter, we will take questions one after another. To ask questions, please use reaction button and then write your query in chat. Moderator will then allow the participant to ask. I'd like to request all, before asking question, please give your introduction to the audience. Participants are not allowed to switch on audio or video during the nerding session. In case of any query, please use the window for chat window only to let moderator know your concern. I once again thank you all for the participating in this live webinar. Now to start the webinar, please welcome Dr. Nayak with the topic, Baby Universe in the Laboratory. Over to you, Dr. Nayak. Dr. Nayak.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes, Dr.
we can
Nayak.
hear you.
Hello. Yeah. So, audible? And Rajiv ji for this discussion during this period, COVID-19 period. And as we know, right nowadays, this all mental activity is replacing our physical activity. We are enhancing our knowledge by some means. And in this knowledge enhancing process, today we will discuss something regarding our universe and some laboratory activity related to early state of universe. that is basically early period of the universe, which we call baby universe. We will discuss on that. We believe the universe was created in the Big Bang. We do not know what was there before Big Bang. No convincing informations are available nowadays. Once the universe was created, it expanded. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are
Yes, sir.
audible.
We can.
Okay. So once the universe was created, it expanded because of high pressure, high temperature, and it evolved in 2 billion years for life formation, as what we observe now on Earth. And today the age of the universe is roughly 13.7, 13.8 billion years. And again, also it is expanding. The evolution of process is going on, and the universe is expanding continuously. It is expanding and expanding with an acceleration. In between, basically in between the evolution, when the universe was created, and just after that, few microseconds after the creation, the universe was in a different state of matter, different phase of matter, which we call quark-gluon plasma. I would explain later what is quark-gluon plasma. And this state of microsecond old universe or baby universe also was created in the laboratory. People try to create different because of several reasons. And I would discuss something regarding that state of universe or quark-gluon plasma, how it was created in the laboratory, and some facts about the laboratory and experiment. So the amount of effort has been put to create that state of matter. All those things I will discuss. And now let me start the discussion by putting a question, that is, what is our cosmic address? We can go to the next slide. What is our basically cosmic address? I put the question, that is because to get certain answer that would say what is the composition of the present universe, what is there in basically in the universe. So while asking this question, let us start. We know that if I drop a letter, or if somebody drop a letter to some known person, let us say Ramchandra Patnaik, for example, then what would you write as postal address? Ramchandra Patnaik, his village are at, post office, via, district, state, and postal index number, which basically helps in sorting out the communication, how the letter would be reached to the destination. For example, if a letter comes from Mars, let us think that we are nowadays so many activities going on exploring the Mars habitat. Let us say habitat developed in Mars, people stayed there. People stay there, and then somebody communicates from Mars to Earth or India in one of the places. Then obviously in the address we should put another thing, that is planet Earth. Somebody from Venus can communicate, somebody some other place can communicate. So yeah, next slide. Yeah. So this is our beautiful Earth. We can communicate. That means if we go beyond Earth, go beyond our present address, but we go basically we go to our solar system, planetary system. We can go to the next slide. So we go to our planetary system. Next slide. So in the planetary system, we know all the planets are revolving around the sun. In the left side, the yellow picture is basically a picture of the sun. And then our planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and we know nowadays one satellite we do not call as a satellite, sorry, we do not call as a planet because of its size, that is Pluto. We excluded that one. And they revolve around the sun, and we call this is a solar system. Now let us further increase the communication to some other place. So we belong to the solar system. Again, the solar system, next slide, belong to a galaxy, that is, we are part of the galaxy, which is known as Milky Way galaxy, basically galaxy, that is our galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy sometimes we call Akash Ganga, basically Hindi we call Akash Ganga, that is the Milky Way galaxy. One can observe also if you go to a very clear place where the clear sky is visible. In the central part, you can observe that many stars along a line you can visualize. Basically that is the Milky Way galaxy, and our solar system is a part of that galaxy. So we can go further the galaxy. So next slide. So galaxy is basically like our solar system. All the planets revolve around the sun. Similarly, the galaxy, we have a galactic center and we have a galactic system. And in the Milky Way galaxy, you see it is written that you are here. That means that position is basically the position of our solar system. The nearest bright light is basically coming from sun, and around sun we have the planets are there revolving around that. So planets revolving around the sun, and the whole solar system is revolving around the galactic center. In the brightest part, that is basically center of this galaxy, galactic system, that is a massive black hole, and that is the galactic center, and it is much away from us, basically the solar system. So like our solar system, there are several systems, several planetary and other systems, they are also revolving around this galaxy. So we are part of that galactic system. Then also we can enhance our address. So yeah, next slide we can go. This is also similar, same picture of the Milky Way galaxy, that says that whole dimension of the Milky Way galaxy is basically 1 lakh light years, and sun is basically sun is 7.6 to 8.7 kiloparsec distance. Kiloparsec is the distance, basically unit of measurement of astronomical object in terms of light years. Next slide I will show what is exactly this unit. So the whole typical dimension of this Milky Way galaxy is 1 lakh light years. That means 1 light year is basically the distance covered by the light in 1 year. So velocity we know 308 meters, or basically 3 lakh kilometers per second, per second 3 lakh kilometers, and that much distance, if we start from one place in the basically along the diameter, if you want to go move, so one place to one point from the periphery or perimeter to another perimeter, if you want to go along the diameter, then it takes 100 light years, sorry, 1 lakh light years. And sun is orbiting around this center is basically with a velocity of 8,28,000 kilometers per hour. We can't imagine also. In 1 hour, it crosses 8 lakh kilometers. So sun is revolving with that speed, and it takes 230 million years to complete one orbit. That means our one season we encounter the same season in this within 365 days. So that is our rotational period of Earth around the sun. Similarly, if we have this solar system basically orbiting around this Milky Way galaxy, to have this similar kind of atmosphere, similar kind of season, it takes 230 million years to make one complete orbit. And as we see, the orbit is spiral orbit. And then, as I said, if we go beyond that, what we will encounter. So before that, let us discuss what is these numbers. We can go to the next slide. So galactic center, as I said, it is a supermassive black hole. Its name is Sagittarius A star. Distance from Earth is roughly 7.6, roughly 8 kiloparsec. That is 25,000 light years. This is the distance from the up to the galactic center. And 1 kiloparsec is basically roughly 1 parsec is roughly 3.2 light years. 1 kiloparsec is 3,000 light years. And the galactic center, basically that is the Sagittarius A star black hole, that is 4 million times massive than the sun. And in our Milky Way galaxy, there are 10 to the power 9 stars, 100 billion stars. And total universe, what we see this, we call this the observable universe. If there is some part of the universe which is not observable, we in experiment or by any method we can't observe or we don't see, we do not count that part. Only the visible universe or the observable universe contains 10 to the power 29 stars. And galactic center in any other galaxy, it need not be a black hole. So some other massive things might be there. So basically, typical the information of this this black hole. We can go to the next slide, which says that beyond our galactic center, we are also part of a, which is called this cluster. First, we are part of our India country, then part of Earth, then part of the solar system, then part of the galactic system, and now we are a part of the cluster. So many galaxies are there, and the cluster which we belong to is known as Virgo cluster. So you see there are different clusters, different bright spots are there, and the elliptical, the clusters are different shapes, different galaxies are also there. And these names, NGC, something that according to the discovery and the instruments used or the place, the experimental laboratory, the names are, we have basically given different names. People have given different names. So these are the clusters people have some evidences. So then we can go to the next slide, which basically tells about the temporal evolution of the time. Whatever picture we see, now let us forget the outermost black part. So you can say that is nothing. And now this is the whole time period starting from the Big Bang when the universe was created to till now. And this basically the brightest part is basically point when the universe was created, and we count time after that. So before that point is basically t equal to 0, time equal to 0. Before that there is no definition of time. So after that we basically count time, and that is the brightest point. So that is the Big Bang. And then at that time, Big Bang is basically that is a something like very low dimension of the universe is very small. It's like point. We cannot say exactly point. We don't know exactly dimension also. Very small. So the energy density of the whole universe was quite high. Energy was quite high. Pressure was quite high. Temperature was quite high. It's like a hot body, and pure energy was there. And then from the energy, all the particles were produced. And then, because since the pressure was too high, so the universe expanded. the expansion is against vacuum, expanded. And then the rightest part of this picture is basically the present day universe. And if you take each cross section says the position of the universe or the composition of universe at that time. It would be clear if we go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide. It would be clear. The same picture has been depicted in a different way. So you see there is a Big Bang, and then that Big Bang we count the time, and then time starts. The axis is, you see, this is the time axis in second, and 10 to the minus 44 minus 37 second, and then 10 to the minus 10 second, like this it goes. Finally, we have reached the final universe. No, sorry, today, basically present time, which is of the order of 10 to the 9 years. And present day universe, we have all living beings, all astronomical larger structures, stars, galaxies, etc. And the whole time is basically 13.8 billion years roughly. So that is roughly the 10 to the 9 years. If you can convert, so then you can get almost 10 to the 9, 10 to the 10 years. If you can convert to the basically second, you can get in second also. You can get the billion years, whatever you want, that you can convert. So you see, so at Big Bang, so that from that is only pure energy, and from the energy then the matter particle produced. At some point we have, you see, there are the photons, electrons, neutrinos, mu particle mu1, tau lepton. So these are different particles produced at that time. And then another particle also gluons. So then what happened? This particle antiparticle, they basically fuse, and thereby nucleus was formed. Then from nucleus atoms were formed, and from atoms molecules were formed, and then from molecules we have large structures like stellar stars and etc. were formed. And then inside the core of the star, heavier elements, heavier nuclei were formed, like beyond iron. So those formation basically much later. After the formation of the star, those heavy elements were formed. And finally, we are here. And I will tell exactly which portion of the universe I am calling baby universe and which portion we are trying to create in the laboratory. You go to the next slide. Yeah, so same thing we are depicting. So basically this scale is something looking different because of different pictures. You see, so after the Big Bang, when the inflation occurs, inflation is something, the universe expanded suddenly. It is a very quick expansion, expanded suddenly. Basically you can say out of proportion expansion, and then after that expansion basically possessed a steady rate with some acceleration. But during expansion and inflation period, universe expands suddenly, and it is much before than 10 to the minus 32 seconds. And right now the diameter, at least whatever we have obtained, is 93 billion light years. This is the diameter of the universe, the visible universe, the part we see. And the total mass of the universe, here I have written ordinary matter. That is because there is another people have explored that there might be dark matter, dark energy, etc. I am not going to those areas right now. So whatever matter, ordinary matter, that means the matter generally we see around us, those kind of matter. If I weigh that matter, so that will weigh around 10 to the 53 kg. And density of the universe is very small. That is 10 to the minus 31 gram per centimeter, very small. The of the universe is basically 2.7 Kelvin. If we say that today is 30 degrees centigrade is the pressure, that is basically 30 degrees centigrade, that is basically 300 Kelvin. So compared to that, average temperature of the universe is too low. That means universe is cold. Universe density is low. And when you say that universe is cold, that means it doesn't say that each and every part of the universe has that temperature, 2.7 Kelvin or roughly 3 Kelvin. There are bright spots, there are hot spots like sun. Sun temperature is quite high. Surface temperature is something 6,000 Kelvin. So those are localized spots. But if you take the average temperature, but most part of the universe is cool. So if you take average, so the temperature becomes less, 2.7. And you see, so there is a portion in the picture where it is written quark soup. Big Bang, then inflation, there is quark soup. The quark soup is the part. So that is something around, started around, I will exactly tell that time scale. So 10 to the minus 13 second to 10 to the plus 13, minus 12 second to plus 13 second. During that period, we have a phase which we call baby universe, or there the universe was filled with some particles. Those particles were basically we call quarks, gluons, and also obviously photons are there and electrons were there. All those particles are there. But mostly the properties of the universe is governed by these quarks. That's why we call it as quark soup or quark gluon plasma, etc. We call it. And that typical time period is microsecond, 10 to the minus 6 second. And experimentally, we basically created that portion of the universe in the laboratory. We can go to the next slide. So next slide is basically the whole, this is the typical picture of the present day universe, basically different galaxies, etc., which I have already shown. We can skip that one. Yeah. We can skip that one. We can go to the next slide. Yeah. So now you see Earth, solar system, and the interstellar neighborhood, which is around us. All the basically stars, nearby galaxies, etc. Our Milky Way galaxy, local galactic group. As I said, there are many clusters, many galactic group, which makes a cluster. And then from the cluster, we have a supercluster, that is Virgo supercluster. We belong to that supercluster. And then there's local superclusters, and finally observable universe. So this is the basically total our address, cosmological address. When I said our cosmological address, so we can go beyond our Earth, we can reach there. If some corner of this, at some corner of the universe, somebody is present, or if life is present in some other part of this universe, if they want to communicate us, so then they have to write the complete postal address, which is basically our cosmological address. So now you can go to the next slide. So the maximum portion is, next slide. Yeah, this is the maximum portion which has been captured. Maximum portion of the universe which has been captured. And this looks like this. And maximum portion of the, not the full universe again, only one supercluster. So that supercluster is basically our closest to our supercluster. Virgo is basically our local cluster. So the supercluster is this one. So this is the maximum capture we have done for experimental study. And the next we can go now, we can basically divide the time period, the very early universe. We say the very early universe as the postnatal period. Postnatal period means if somebody, a baby basically is take birth, so immediate period we call that neonatal period, after the birth of a baby. And similarly, the universe when it was created, and just after the creation, I cannot say, few 10 to the minus 43 second after that period, to 10 to the minus 12 second, that period we call postnatal period. Why I mentioned that 10 to the minus 43 to 10 to the minus 12? not below the 10 to the minus 43. That is because below 10 to the minus 43, until now, no experimental evidence is there which can explain what happened there also during that time. So you do not have any basically concluding statement one can provide. And so only the period which one can say something about, that is after 10 to the minus 43 seconds. So when the cosmic inflation happens, so before 10 to the minus 43 seconds, the inflation happened, as I saw, sudden expansion of the universe. And then beyond 10 to the minus 43 to 10 to the minus 12 seconds, basically the period which theoretically provides some theory, but experimentally also, that period is beyond the grasp of the experimentalists in particle physics. We do not have any experimental evidence, but some theory is available during this period, 10 to the minus 36 to minus 32, up to 10 to the minus 12 seconds. So then the next period comes, which we call early universe, or in my talk it is baby universe, that is 10 to the minus 12 second to 10 to the 13 second. It is a long period. Minus 12 second to plus 13 second, 10 to the minus 12 to 10 to the plus 13 second. That is up to past 3,80,000 years in the cosmic time. So this long period, we call it quark epoch, and after beyond that it is photon epoch. Epoch means era. This era where the which particle dominate the universe. So the universe remains in the state of a plasma. We call it the plasma of quarks and gluons, up to microsecond, 10 to the minus 6 second initially. And then the quarks and gluons, they form some particles called hadrons. Here let me go to let me explain what is this quarks and gluons. That is, we know that up to molecule we are very much comfortable. Then molecule, we know if we break molecule, then we get atoms. If we break atoms, we know inside the atom, basically a nucleus is in the core, and around nucleus, electrons are revolving around the nucleus. So then, if I break the nucleus, so what we'll get basically protons and neutrons. And protons, neutrons, if I break protons and neutrons, then I will get quarks. One proton is made up of 3 quarks. One neutron is also made up of 3 quarks. Basically, proton and neutron in the language of particle physics are called hadrons. Basically, they are called baryons. And some other particles are there. They are called mesons, pi meson, k meson. Together, the mesons and baryons constitute hadrons. So, proton, neutron you can call baryon, you can call also hadrons. So then, as I said, protons and neutrons are made from quarks. So these quarks, when they combine among themselves, they can form meson, or they can form baryon, or they can form hadron. So initially, up to 10 to the minus 6 seconds after the Big Bang, the universe was dominated by quarks, gluons, and then quarks combine among themselves and then form hadrons. So up to 1 second, the universe was dominated by hadrons. So basically, phase transition happened from quark gluon plasma phase to hadronic plasma phase or hadronic gas phase. So this period is basically the interest for the scientific community nowadays. Since last few decades, and they created this particular phase in the laboratory. 10 to the minus 6 second phase, or the microsecond old baby universe, they created in the laboratory. So again, after 1 second, then within time period of 3 minutes, basically 3 to 20 minutes, 3 to 20 minutes, basically order of 10 minutes, basically 10 to the 3 seconds, first nucleus synthesis occurred. First nucleus was formed, because from quarks, when quarks combine, they can form proton, they can form neutron, which are called hadrons, or they can form mesons, and then single proton Yeah. So am I audible?
Yes, please.
So basically it got disconnected. So so these quarks can form, the quarks form basically protons and neutrons and some other hadrons. So within the first, then we know the nucleus of the hydrogen atom, but the nuclei of higher higher elements like helium atom or something, lithium, all those things. So within the first 20 minutes, up to lithium formation was done. And basically our iron is found much later after the star formation, but this is much before the star formation. So up to within first 20 minutes, of the Big Bang is important, because you can say almost all fundamental things were basically created during first 20 minutes, and after that basically that combination etc. and the larger structures were formed, but first 20 minutes is much more crucial. Then up to these 20 minutes up to nucleosynthesis occurred, then up to lithium 7, and then carbon formation also is technical, much more technical, because carbon also technically cannot be produced so easily. So that is a separate story, how carbon is produced in the universe, or was produced in the universe. And then that there is a period, which period is called dark age, and that is 3,80,000 years to 150 million years. We can also go back to that picture, maybe I would show once again. So during that period, no major things happened. Major things means like these fundamental particles were created early. Within first 20 minutes, up to nucleus were created, nuclei of less heavy elements like hydrogen, helium, lithium were formed, and then some other nucleus also formed. But more major things didn't happen. Major formation of major other parts of the other structures of the universe never happened during the period 3,80,000 years to 150 million years. This was, we call it dark ages, and universe was transparent in the sense, since we can see something if visible light comes. If visible light do not come, then we cannot see that. So basically that was this. So no visible light came out. So that's why we can say dark ages. Then we can go to the next slide. So then 150 million years to the present day, that is 100 billion years, or we can say next coming years also. This period, all the large scale structure formation occurred, stellar evolution occurred, galaxy formation occurred, and formation of galaxy clusters, superclusters, and this should continue. Nowadays also we do not know, some part of the universe, some new structures are being created, new galaxies are created, new stars are created, and supernova, sometimes supernova is happening. So that is continuing, it will continue. So this would continue until 100 billion years of cosmic time. Right now we are at 13.8 billion years of cosmic time. And then our solar system formed at 4.6 billion years ago. And the experiments suggest that first life on Earth that emerged about 3.5 billion years ago. Out of 13.8 billion years ago, which is the age of the universe, so 3.5 billion years ago, the first life on the Earth, or traces of first life, was observed. So then, whether it would continue, what will be happen to the universe, that also we do not know. There are several theories. So some theory says that there will be heat death. Heat death is totally the temperature right now very small, basically 3 Kelvin or 2.7 Kelvin is the average temperature. But because of the expansion of the universe, the structure of the new structure appearing, so it may happen the whole universe may basically because of heat, whole universe may completely eradicated. Like Big Bang, so there may happen some big crunch. The universe right now is expanding with acceleration. It may crunch, again decelerate, again move towards a basically high density state. Minus something. So there are several theories, but the present theory right now, new theory is coming, which is called Big Bounce, and they say that the cyclic universe, this universe will die, and another universe will be created. That means, which we sometimes we say, one can correlate, but exactly this is too early to also correlate, because we know in Gita it's mentioned that basically first cyclic inverse concept in Gita, it says the universe again and again, if there will be prologue and again and again that will be, we have the universes. But similar kind of some theory, mathematical calculation is right now available, but exactly that do not support the concept of Gita, but some this is latest within last 5 years. Such kind of theory is available. People are working on that. That is called basically cyclic universe, and that universe there will be big bounce, big. So they said that there is no big bang, rather big bounce. That means the energy density was not infinity when the Big Bang was created. Rather, it was little too high and finite. And again, the gravity would be, we know the gravitational interaction is attracting, and because of the gravity, all the stellar formation happened. So that theory says sometimes if you go the very low time, so gravity may becomes repulsive. There are so many theories happening. So, but present what experimental evidences are there. So right now we are at a stage which in the universe, and in the universe is expanding and expanding with an acceleration. Now let us come to the part of the laboratory. So as I said, we can go to the next slide. As I said, we will discuss about this baby universe or infant universe, which is basically composed, basically consisting of the state of matter known as quark, gluon, and plasma. Quark, gluon, plasma. And plasma is something we know the tube light. Inside the tube light, we know there is charged ions or the ionized gas. And when ionized gas have certain properties, then ionized gas we call as plasma. If they show certain properties, some properties of collectivity, and then we can call it plasma. And so similarly, when quarks and gluons have similar kind of properties, then we call it quark gluon plasma. And the inside the sun, that is also plasma, but that is not quark gluon plasma. That is normal plasma. What is basically inside the tube light, a similar state is inside the sun, but sun temperature is too high, tube light temperature is too low. So plasma is and the tube light principle is based on the plasma. So similarly, quark gluon plasma, which is basically microsecond old universe, the part of the microsecond old universe, that scientists have been basically tried since decades to create in the laboratory. And at that time, the universe was composed of quarks, gluons, photons, the light, electrons, etc. And then that quark gluon plasma is converted into hadrons, basically protons, neutrons, pi mesons, etc. Encountering a phase transition. So how do we do in the laboratory? Go to the next slide. Yeah, you see after the Big Bang. So now, yeah, so that part, this part, that picture moved from this to that. That is basically quark gluon plasma part. You see, it is written Q bar, Q bar, Q bar. That is basically hadrons, and before that there is quark gluon plasma, and there is a demarcation, and that is basically says about the phase transition of one phase to another phase. So we can go to the next slide. So the whole aim was the community is to, next slide, we can go to next slide. We can skip next slide, and then we can go to directly. Yeah, we can skip this one also. We can skip, yeah. Yeah, so what we do basically to create that that state in the laboratory, what we do is basically two nuclei, heavy nuclei are collided. So this is a typical simulation picture of two gold nucleus. So left side one gold nucleus is moving, and right side another gold nucleus is moving. Both are moving with very high velocity, velocity of the order of velocity of light, you can say, close to velocity of light. Well, if we discuss that velocity of light is c, that is 3 into 10 to the 8 meter per second. So almost all these particles are moving of the order of that. Little one cannot exactly, the matter particle cannot achieve that velocity of light. So it's very less, 0.995 or 998 c. So close to velocity of light, they are moving the gold nuclei, and they are collided. When they collided, since the nuclei are carrying very high energy because of their kinetic energy, they are moving with high. So kinetic energy basically on the velocity square. So since the velocity is too high, so kinetic energy is too high, so they dump the energy at the collision, and from the energy new particles are produced. And since the collision happens with very high energy, so the new particles which are produced, we believe those are quarks and anti-quarks system of quark gluon plasma. And immediately after the production, the quark gluon plasma quark gluon plasma is basically converted into hadrons, because the hot dense system of quark gluon plasma, like the universe, expands because of the high pressure, high energy density, which basically high pressure is resulted due to the high energy density, and due to that, so it expands against the vacuum, and then at some point of time when temperature becomes low, so the hadrons are formed, or the proton neutrons are formed, and then in the detector we observe the protons and neutrons. Then theoretically or data analysis, people do theoretical calculation and data analysis, and prove that yes, quark gluon plasma is produced or not. So that's basically laboratory experiment. So people, yeah, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so skip that one, we have already. Yeah, skip that one. Yeah, so basically large group of people put the effort to recreate this stage of the universe in the laboratory, and there are several reasons why do we need to do those things. Because we want to understand the properties of the fundamental particles. That is much more important. We know if we understand the properties of one particle, let us say steel, iron, then we can make steel. Then we can make different qualities of steel. We can make different objects. So basically, understanding the properties of particles is much more important. Like in case of steel, we understand the properties of iron atoms. That is at atomic level. If you understand the properties of nuclei, we know there are several applications of nuclear technology, like electricity production, all the gamma ray treatment for the cancer, that is happens because the moment we understand the properties of nucleus. All irradiation technology now people are using to preserve the food, that is because of the nuclear technology, and that is when we understand the properties of the nucleus. So similarly, understanding the properties of any fundamental particle is much very important from application point of view. Again, this is the some phase tension is involved, which we want to understand also. So, and obvious question is that whether we can probe the whole universe, evolution of the whole universe. It's not. Till now, whatever technology we have, whatever scientific theory we have, we cannot, using that theory, both technology and theory, we cannot recreate the whole universe state of whole universe, or the all states of whole universe in the laboratory. So this is one achievable thing, some part we could understand. So yeah, we can go to the next slide. So that part, arrow mark 1, arrow mark, it says proton-proton physics at the Large Hadron Collider, LHC is Large Hadron Collider, corresponds to the condition around here. So that has been created in the laboratory. So that is the basically time and energy scale that has been created in the laboratory. And below also you can see that is written heavy ion physics at Large Hadron Collider corresponds to the conditions around here. So basically that period in the laboratory, basically state of that matter during that period has been created in the laboratory. So people have already done. Not only people have collided gold, people have also collided lead. Silicon and oxygen. So the several collided and heavy nuclei is much more preferable because of some reason. So to create the quark-gluon or this. So we can go to the next slide and see the picture of the one of the experiment at relativistic heavy ion collider. So this RHIC is written, it is relativistic heavy ion collider. It is National Laboratory USA. So you see the lab, sorry, basically the picture. So the whole area, the blue marked area is basically the experimental setup. This is a whole vacuum chamber beam pipe is there through which the gold nuclei were accelerated and provided with high energy, and there are some collision points in the experiment. So in the collision point, there are 4 collision points. You must have observed that related in star, Phoenix, etc., and Phobos, Brahms. So these are the 4 collision points. So where the collision happens, the collision of 2 gold nuclei happens. So this is the satellite picture of the whole setup from the above. It's a big area, big laboratory in the USA, Brookhaven National Laboratory. And this experiment mostly around 2000 to 2010, it was very the community at RHIC were very active, and from all over the world, basically many countries from the world joined in this program. It's not a one state program, one country program, because it's highly expensive. So many states joined there. And we can go to the next slide. We can see the Large Hadron Collider facility. We can see, yeah, next slide. So this is there are 2 facilities. One is called Super Proton Synchrotron (SPS), and another is Large Hadron Collider. So these 2 facilities are at CERN, Geneva. Super Proton Synchrotron, you see this smaller ring. That was the first experiment. That was before the experiment done at RHIC, Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider at USA. So first glimpse of quark-gluon plasma formation came from Super Proton Synchrotron. That is around before 2000. So, and the bigger ring is basically Large Hadron Collider. Almost everybody knows about Large Hadron Collider. It came into the limelight in the media very frequently in last few years when the Higgs boson was discovered. So Higgs boson discovery is one of the experiments, and in the next part I will show. You see there is written that ALICE, CMS, Atlas, and LSB. So ALICE is basically dedicated experiment to create this state of universe, and Atlas, CMS was the experiment to confirm the Higgs boson, basically to discover the Higgs boson, particle physics experiment, those 2 are. And this ALICE was basically dedicated experiment for our research. So this Large Hadron Collider, we can see basically these Large Hadron Collider, superproton, synchrotron, and relativistic heavy collider. These machines are called accelerator. Accelerator is a machine which basically energizes, which increases the energy of the nuclei or the charged particle to very accelerates the particle, this higher kinetic energy of the particle. So that is the job of the accelerator. Even also our center, that is known as variable energy cyclotron center. So cyclotron is also that kind of machine. Cyclotron, synchrotron, these are the machines, collider, these are the machines which are basically used to increase the energy of the charged particle, and so that next level of experiments can be done. But our machine at our center, cyclotron, is machine to do the nuclear physics experiment, purely nuclear physics experiment. But these machines, Large Hadron Collider, it has a higher energy level, so one can go to beyond nucleus. That means you can break the nucleus here and get the quarks. So you can go to the next slide. You can see the Large Hadron Collider. Yeah, so this is the typical Large Hadron Collider machine. So you see, this is the Geneva, basically France and Switzerland border. Both the machine, the border runs above this machine. Basically, this is an underground machine. This perimeter of the machine, circumference of the machine is 27 kilometer. Large Hadron Collider machine perimeter is 27 kilometer. It's too big machine, and it is underground, deep inside this earth. And on the above of the machine, you have the city, Geneva city, above the machine. So, and the also border of the France and Switzerland is there. So this is Large Hadron Collider machine, and you see these are also 4 experimental points: ALICE, CMS, ATLAS, and one side is LSCB. So you see the 2 rings, one nuclei moves, in another rings, another nuclear moves in the opposite direction. And the 4 experimental points, so there they meet, so basically collide. So next we can go to the next slide. So next slide is the basically from the relativistic heavy-ion collider, USA from the USA. So there you see these are the tracks of the particle. When the particles are produced, huge number of particles are produced from the gold-gold collision, people track those path of the particles. So these are the tracks of the path of the particles. You cannot see the particles in the detector because particles are very small, dimension is very small. You cannot see any through any lens. You can only see the track, the direction they move. So they ionize that direction. You see that path. So this is the tracks of the particles. The particles are produced in the Buchanan laboratory. And we can go to the next slide. Yeah, you see. So the tunnel of the Large Hadron Collider in the collider of the sun, you see, this is the underground tunnel. You see how big is the tunnel, and since the perimeter is 27 kilometers, if something happens in the beam pipe when the particle moves, when the nuclei moves, so it's very difficult to repair that. So that also track up for this vehicle. This is battery operated vehicle. So if something happens somewhere, so the vehicle moves. So along with that, you go and repair that. So this is the tunnel. You see the height of the tunnel, how big it is. This is the beam pipe, and we can go to the next slide. So in the as I said, this is experimental collaboration by I think 67 countries contribute to the whole large setup. So different part from India also, our institute is a part of that program. So we supplied one detector, so that PEMD, photon multiplicity detector, to count the number of photons produced in the experiments. Basically, there are several detectors. This is the complicated machine. You see the one cross-section view of the machine. You see how complicated it is. So several detectors are there to capture several things. So one such detector is by India. Our institute takes the lead, and many some Universities are also collaborating, some other institutes, some IITs, all this is a collaborative effort, but our institute leads. So that is proton multiplicity detector. So that is placed in the Large Hadron Collider. Similarly, also related in the sun also, in the USA also, also, we have one detector, proton multiplicity detector. We can go to the next slide. We can know some facts regarding the LHC machine. The perimeter, as I said, is 27 kilometers. It is located 175 meters deep inside the Earth. So roughly you can say 200 meters deep inside the Earth, beneath the France-Switzerland border. And it was built between basically 1998 to 2008. 98 it started, 2008. So it took 10 years to build the machine. Because you see 27 kilometer, 10 years, I think it is a very small period as far as such type of to build such type of machine. It's not a big time period, very small time period. And first experiment happened in 2010 with 3.5 tera electron volt. This is the energy unit for nucleon. A means nucleon. Each nuclei was provided with 3.5 tera electron volt. Actually, in principle, in 2008, first experiment was done, but it immediately crashed. Vacuum problem was there. So then, after 2 years, the machine operated. And the tunnel, you see, diameter of the tunnel is 3 meters, and length is 27 kilometers. And since the particle, the nuclei which is traveling here, basically the lead nuclei, people are using experiments with the lead nuclei. So lead nuclei which travels. So since the nuclei travels with a velocity of light, almost a velocity of light, so you need that much to basically the beam pipe. We have to maintain that degree of vacuum, so that it will not get destroyed. Otherwise, it will interact with the particles inside the beam pipe. So we have to maintain that level of vacuum, so that only lead beam are there and not other particles are there. And also to maintain that kind of vacuum, we need that kind of cryogenic system, SC system, refrigerator system, which we say in the LHC we have the coolest part of the universe. The kind of temperature it was created, the kind of temperature it is maintained, basically cryogenic system. It is the coolest part of the universe, close to the 0 Kelvin, not exactly 0 Kelvin. I will show the exact figure. And the system which is produced, the quark gluon plasma, is the highest temperature, having the highest temperature in the universe. It is of the order of MeV, 400, 500 MeV. So MeV means basically the temperature of the sun is, surface temperature is 2000 Kelvin. So it's of the order of EV. So it 10 to the power 6 times the temperature of the sun, too high. One can calculate the exact number also. It's very easy. And the earth that was excavated to build that machine is 1 billion kg. 1 billion kg ka mitti ka khudai hua tha. And the superconducting magnets were, yes, in the LHC also, Indore, from one of our center from Indore supplied the superconducting magnet also, some magnet also. So that was another big contribution from India. And you see the beam which were basically collided, lead beam and proton beam at Large Hadron Collider. The proton beam, in case of proton collision, so one there were 11 particles that collided with another bunch of protons, because you need a Hadron collision. And basically one bonds to another in a beam, basically bonds of particles are there. So one bonds to another bonds, the particle separation was basically 50 nanosecond. That means this is the time scale, multiply with the velocity of light c, you will get the distance scale, how much distance separated one bond to another bond. So this is the typical thing. Second thing, you can go to the next slide. So the LHC machine, yeah, you can put one, yeah. So interaction point bonds length is basically, that is not, I cannot, so bonds length is basically, it says bonds of the proton or bonds of the proton bonds length is 6 centimeter. Beam radius is 23 micrometer, minus 6 meter, and bonds collision rates. Superconducting dipoles, 8.33 Tesla. This is the magnetic field. This magnetic field is much more than the magnetic field of our North Pole and South Pole of the Earth. And this is the magnetic field used in LHC machine. As I said, the temperature which was basically created of the order of MeV, but temperature with which it was operated, the beam was, as I told, this high vacuum is required. So cryogenics should be that strong. You see, it generated 1.9 Kelvin. We know 0 Kelvin is the lowest temperature. One cannot go beyond 0 Kelvin. One cannot have minus Kelvin. Minus degree centigrade you can have, but minus Kelvin. 0 Kelvin is the temperature where everything freezes. Everything ceases. Means atoms can stop. Although atom cannot be stopped quantum mechanically, but atom motion can be stopped. Anything can be stopped. So beyond 0 Kelvin, one cannot go. So but in the LHC, operating LHC, people could achieve 1.9 Kelvin. This is one kind of the, you can say, the in technologically, it's the at the highest altitude we are technologically. And so many magnets were there, and the beam also. So we can say the coolest place is of the universe is inside this machine. The hottest spot of the universe is inside the machine, and the emptiest space also is inside the machine. That is vacuum. So that is the typical things regarding the Large Hadron Collider, and which created the basically this quark-gluon plasma phase. And obviously, during this experiment, another particle was discovered, which was Higgs particle. We know it got for the Higgs. The Nobel Prize was obtained 2-3 years back in 2012. So 2012, the Nobel Prize, people got the Nobel Prize for the Higgs discovery. No, Nobel Prize got later, but the discovery happened in 2012. During that time, we had one conference. There also it was declared. The discovery of the Higgs particle, we know, which we call sometimes called God particle. That is a misnomer. That was discovered in the same laboratory, and the Atlas B and the other 3 experimental points which I showed apart from the ALICE in the LHC. So those are responsible for the discovery of the Higgs particle. Higgs particle or this God particle is responsible for providing mass. For example, why the proton has some mass, how the proton acquired mass, why we have masses. That answer was provided by the Higgs particle. Although it cannot tell everything, but some reason it provides. The mass of fundamental particles, how it is acquired, is given by the Higgs particle. The discovery of Higgs particle supported the concept. So that was the discovery. So okay. So with this, I can stop right now. This is the saga of the microsecond old universe, and that has been created in the laboratory, the quark-gluon plasma phase. Until now, we have not understood all properties of this matter, quark-gluon plasma. We have understood the properties of basically matter at molecular level. You know, all the medicine industry is we have, that is understanding the molecules, properties of at molecular levels, and then atomic level we have X-ray, etc. That is atomic level phenomena. Magnetic resonance, etc. So many applications are there. So at quark level, till now we have not understood much, but we recently created that state of matter, and we are trying to understand what it is exactly, what are the different properties of this matter. But one thing can be told, that till now quarks are the most fundamental particle. Quarks are cannot be broken into pieces and see what is inside in the quarks. People have tried and failed. So this is a up to fundamental level almost we have reached till now, and we have created a matter. We can say this is primordial matter of the universe, or the baby universe, which is composed of. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Naik, for such a fascinating topic on universe. And now, without wasting much time, we are moving towards our question answer session.
Yeah. So basically, was I audible during the talk, or there is some problem?
Yes, sir. Some part of your discussion was, not audible. That is due to environment that we are having right now. It's heavily raining outside. So otherwise, it's absolutely fine, sir.
I would say approximately 98% you are audible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we are moving towards our question answer session.
Yeah.
We will take questions from participants one by one, and I would like to request everyone, before asking their questions, please introduce themselves. I will take their names, and after that, please unmute yourself and ask questions. First question is coming from Mr. Ayush Sharma. Arush Sharma.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arush, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
My name is Arush Sharma. I am in class 4 and section H. I am in DPS Ruby Park, Kolkata. My question is, are we successful in figuring out particles of God?
Right, Arush. Sir, we have question from Arush.
Yeah, so I could not listen properly either. Either repeat it or somebody.
Yeah, Arush, please repeat the question.
Can you repeat the question, or you can just tell me?
Question is, are we successful in figuring out this particle of God now?
No, there is no such particle called God particle. Actually, the particle Higgs particle, which people called it as God particle. So what happened? This Higgs particle was predicted by Peter Higgs in 1972 in one of the pioneering paper. He predicted that there must be a particle which provides the mass to other particles. But since 1972, people have been trying a lot to discover Higgs. There are several machines, people tried several times, but people could not find out. So that's why in one of the novel, Lederman, one of the scientists, he wrote, this is a goddamn particle, Abhisapta particle, goddamn. So from the name goddamn particle, the editor of the book told that, no, we should make it a God particle so that it would be, book would be, this sellings of the book would increase. So actually the Lederman told that this is goddamn particle. So that is a God. So why the Abhisapta particle in the actual word he told? This is goddamn particle.
So this is an interesting fact we came to know, because before this discussion we used to know that this was called God particles, but now we came to know it was goddamn particle. Great one.
Right. Thank you, sir. We are moving towards our second question coming from Mr. Priyanshu Ghosh.
Yes, sir. My name is Priyanshu Ghosh, and first of all, I would like to say that it was a pleasure meeting you, listening to you. So now the question. So everybody was asking that something what existed before the Big Bang. My question is absolutely not that. According to Newton's third law of motion, we know that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So there must be an action which actually caused the Big Bang.
Okay.
Right.
So actually, question regarding Big Bang, why it happened? We say in our domain it is a philosophical question because there is no such answer why it happened. Now coming to your answer, as you said, Newton's third law, there every action has a reaction. Actually, all the Newton's laws are not valid in that domain. That is because, so when we talk Big Bangs, the time and length scale is basically quantum mechanical in nature, both quantum mechanical and also it's relativistic. So both in that domain, these laws are not valid. So one cannot actually one should not see from Newton's third law domain why it happened. There must be some action because of which Big Bang happened. That's what you are telling. One should not see from that perspective because Newton's laws are not valid in that domain at all. So before 10 to the minus 43 second, as I showed, is called the Planck epoch. So within that epoch, even also Newton's law says gravitational force are attracting in nature. But that time maybe gravitational force, people say it is repelling in nature. It's not attractive. But we know gravitational force is attractive always. So in that sense, it's not, one should not see in that perspective. That's why people say it's still now, we do not have any answer why Big Bang happened or what was before that. And some calculations say, so that's what I told, that cyclic universe, concept of cyclic universe they gave. So I cannot also highlight much on that because that is a different subject domain again. But yes, we can say concretely that because of this reason, Big Bang happened.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Our second question is coming from Debottom Moitro.
Yes, hello, good evening, sir. First of all, I would like to say that it was a really good explanation and a good session. Though I couldn't hear most of the portions because of the really bad weather. But my question was same as Priyanshu Ghosh, that what actually caused the Big Bang theory, because yeah, he almost correct. He almost said the question that Newton's third law, but you already said the answer that this has nothing to do with it. So that's why my question is, basically, if there is no such thing called Big Bang theory, then why it is so much important to
now, Big Bang. Okay.
Yes.
So Big Bang theory is there. So Big Bang theory, there is till now we have that yes, there was a Big Bang. That this no such.
Sir, your voice is
so
cracking.
I couldn't
hear you.
Okay. So it is audible right now.
Yes.
I am
now it's
little
audible.
bit slow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's audible right now.
Okay. So what I am telling is that there is no such explanation. But Big Bang happened, that there is experimental evidence Big Bang happened. But why it happened, there is no explanation. And similarly, just before Big Bang or before Big Bang, what was there, there is also no such experimental evidences or experimental things. So that basically people.
So one more question I wanted to ask you, that why is basically it is called a baby universe? Like why was the name connotation given baby universe? Like what was the basic reason behind it?
Oh yeah, baby universe, that is, there is no such things like that baby universe or infant universe. That is basically you have a lifetime. So 13.8 billion years is the lifetime. Now you can say that there's post creation, somebody takes birth, we say it is neonatal period. So then it's a baby, and after baby it is a kid, then children to year. So like this. So it's the baby, very early part of the universe. So you can call it infant universe. There is no problem. So these kind of definitions, there is no such reason. Just simply for a time, looking at the time scale of the or lifetime of the whole universe till now, one can the earliest period of the baby universe. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question is coming from Ruksha Chaudhary.
Hello, sir. So my question is, what was there in the universe before the Big Bang and the universe was formed?
Yeah, again, that's what I have already told. So before the Big Bang, so we do not have any concrete evidence. But so that's what even also before Big Bang. 10 to the minus 43 second to Big Bang also. We do not have any good explanation which says what was there or how it happened. So there is till now. I think my best answer is it is up to you, the young guys, to explore what was before Big Bang, because till now present day scientific community doesn't have a very good explanation what was before Big Bang theory. It is now up to you. You have to take that challenge and find out what was before Big Bang theory. For the next generation, the answer is for the next generation.
Right, sir. The next question is coming from, next question is coming from Shoham De.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. So my question is, what does the term transparent galaxy means?
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Shoham,
sir.
please repeat your question.
Soham, I could not listen your last. Repeat.
Sir, what does the term transparent galaxy means?
Transparent galaxy or transparent period? Hello.
The question is, what does transparent galaxy means?
So I'm talking of transparent galaxy or transparent period during the dark ages?
Transparent galaxy.
No, transparent galaxy, I don't know, but anything transparent, I was talking basically transparent period of the universe evolution, that is the dark age. Anything transparent means,
yes, sir.
Anything transparent means we see something when there is visible light. If there is no visible light or in the darkness, you cannot see anything. When there is no sun, right? No light, you cannot see anything. We see, or our eye can see, there is light. So during the period of the evolution, no visible light came, or the visible photons of visible wavelength, because photons can be infrared, photons can see microwave, etc. But the photons within the domain of in the radio spectrum, the visible domain, that didn't come out, because of which we can say that is the transparent period. Basically, during that dark age period, all the reionization happened. That means all the basically hydrogen kind of things available in the whole universe all became charged. All the energy was basically used to charge those particles, making ion. So that is basically reionization period. That's why no visible light came. So since no visible light came, we call that is the transparent period.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
So this is Runa Mitra from Kolkata. My question is, what is actually the black hole?
Okay.
You have shown in some of the pictures the black hole, the center.
Okay.
What is this black hole?
Sorry, example that which basically attracts everything. Basically, whatever goes near to the black hole, it attracts everything, right? That means something can go and cannot escape out from the black hole. For example, you can say it is very attractive thing is there. So like something goes near the sun to attract towards itself, right? a, like like a electron, a nucleus can attract an electron. So similarly, a black hole can attract anything. So nothing can escape out of the black hole. So that is the concept of black hole. Again, the properties of the black hole, whether it has some temperature, what is the temperature of the black hole. This is right now under investigation. People are trying to study theoretically. Why theoretically? Because experimentally, if you want to study black hole, then for example, you have to throw some radiation or throw something, or so that for example you inject something and get some information, but experimentally you cannot do that. That is because whatever goes to black hole captures that. It will not return back to the same return back to you the same thing. So black hole is something which basically attracts each and everything. So that's why we cannot what is inside black hole we do not know, but we know what we can calculate is basically we can calculate the some indirect method. We can calculate the mass of the black hole. We can calculate the temperature of the black hole. That why temperature so? Because although but it radiates, but it doesn't reflect back anything. Whatever it goes through that black hole, it doesn't reflect. So that is basically a black hole. Again, till now, black hole is basically area of active research. This is very unexplored area. It is not.
Sir, I have one more question to ask.
Yeah.
Sir, I have one more question to ask. The global warming effect that we are facing right now, will that be a huge effect to our universe, as in overall?
Okay. So although I am not the right answer because that is an environmental question, till then whatever I know, let me tell you. The global warming what we are observing right now, sometimes we say the global warming is because of these vehicles, etc. That we are using the carbon emission. Because of the carbon emission, continuously the carbon emission is increasing.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think it is clear to you that is whatever you have asked, this question is answer is given to you. Right.
Yes.
Now, the last question is coming from Priyanshu Murmu.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, I have two questions. Sir, can neutrons be accelerated?
Neutrons, okay. So basically what we can accelerate? It is easier for us to accelerate charged particles because whatever the technology we are using to accelerate is electromagnetic field, and only charged particle can respond to electromagnetic field. Neutron is a neutral particle. So able to accelerate neutron using this electromagnetic. All those machines I have mentioned, cyclotron, synchrotron, betatron, etc. in your microwave, etc. Everywhere you have a charged particles, either plus or minus. So it is very difficult to accelerate in neutron particles, neutral particles. That is the reason only neutral particles can be given higher kinetic energy because of some sources, like in accelerator, in the nuclear reactor, the neutrons are produced. They can give in some higher energy, kinetic energy. But in those machines, you cannot do. That is because of the neutral nature. Only using electromagnetic field, something can be accelerated if it is a charged particle, not neutron.
Sir, the second question is, which part of the early universe is the hardest to reproduce in the lab?
That is again before this 10 to the minus 6 seconds, that is 10 to the minus 12 seconds. Planck epoch starts from 10 to the minus 43. So the inflation part. So when the universe expanded suddenly, it is very difficult to create in the laboratory because till now we do not have that technology which can create that amount of energy which can mimic the early period, very earliest period. We cannot do that. Hello.
And sir, thank you, sir. And just some question like, what is behind the black hole, sir? We have only seen the front of it, right? My question is, what is behind the black hole?
You mean behind means inside the black hole?
Yeah, yeah.
No, sir.
Yes,
At the
sir.
bottom of the black hole. What is there at the bottom of? I'm Runa Mitra once again. What is there at the bottom of the black hole? We can see the entry point. What is there at the other side, at the back side?
No, we do not. We do not have an entry point or exit point. Like for example, if you take up Earth, there is no bottom, there is no top. So it's a circular object. It's a, sorry, basically, yeah. Basically,
Spherical object.
so in this space, since it is moving motions, let us say spinning motions, rotational motions. Also, it has another motions which are the solar system. So in that sense, we cannot say which is top, which is below. But what we can say, it has a surface and it has an inside core. So in case of black holes, also similar kind of things. It has a surface inside core, and we do not know what is inside the core of the black hole. Only we know the radiation which is coming from the out of the surface, but inside what is there, we do not know. Nobody knows.
Right. So we have another question coming from Shauradip Mitra.
Okay.
Yeah, Shauradip.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, my question is, you have talked about the universe being flat. Then why do we talk about different dimensions in the universe, like 5D, 6D, or 8D?
No. Universe is flat or something. But I didn't talk also dimension of the universe. 5D, 6D, there is no dimension of the universe. Rather, the extra dimensional thing people talk in string theory, 10-dimensional object. So those dimensions are different concept. That dimension of maximum what we observe is dimensional thing, x, y, z axis. Another dimension we add to make it 4-dimensional, that is time. So when we make time as a dimension, basically dimension is a concept we can add something to the dimension also. When we say time is 4-dimensional, so you cannot see time. But what you can see is x, y, z, 3-dimensional thing. So but time is another dimension to make a 4-dimensional object. Similarly, when they call it is extra dimensional things in case of string theory, that is not related to this topic. So in string theory, when you say extra dimension like 10-dimensional things or things, so similar kind of like time is another dimension. Similar time of extra space dimensions are there which are not visible. So those things again, I mean also that extra dimension I do not know much about those things. Those who are doing string theory research, they can tell better. But that is not the related to the dimension of the universe. Universe is a 3-dimensional object. That's all. It's a 3-dimensional object. Of course, if you consider time into the thing, so it is a 4-dimensional object.
So what is a pulsar? I'm Runa ma'am from Kolkata. What is a pulsar?
Yeah, pulsar is basically again it is a pulsating star, astronomical object which has own energy. It's a pulsating. It radiates energy in a pulse mode. Basically, visible light or some other photons of some other frequency. It basically radiates energy with pulses. So this is again another astronomical object. Sometimes, like some neutron stars, if they have some kind of pulse mode, releasing energy in pulse mode, they can also be called as pulsars. Basically, pulsating mode of the energy release by some astronomical object.
Does this pulsar rotate?
Definitely, astronomical body.
For any further
momentum
query,
conservation that they should have.
For any further
Okay,
query, we can take question on email also. So we are now moving towards the closing of the session.
Sir, I have also a question.
Yes, Kushagra Jain.
Sir, I am from BDJ, means Birla Divya Jyoti. Sir, what is inflation and accelerators in history of universe.
Inflation and accelerating universe. I could not listen you last part.
Sir, what is inflation and accelerators in history of universe?
No, audio is breaking. Please, somebody repeat.
Kushagra, please keep your microphone at a distance from your mouth. Your exhaust sounds are very much audible.
What
You're not-
is
yeah.
inflation and accelerators in history of universe?
Okay. What is synchrotron and accelerator? That's what we are
Yes.
telling. Or,
Yes, sir.
Synchrotron is a machine which accelerates charged particle like proton, like alpha particle, like hydrogen ion or carbon something, some nuclei. So they are basically accelerate the charged particle.
Hello. Hello,
In
sir. Sir, I can't hear you.
Probably you are asking. I can't hear me. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Okay. So synchrotron or cyclotron are the machine using which the charged particle basically you can say hydrogen ion, your lithium ion, or any nuclei can be accelerated using that machine. Accelerator means you can give an acceleration to that particle. Acceleration means if some particle moves, it has a velocity. If it moves with variable velocity, then it has an acceleration.
Okay, sir. My last.
Kinetic energy of the particle is increased. Yeah.
Sir, what is quark?
What is quark?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I also had this question.
Okay. You know atom?
Yes, sir.
Hello. You know atom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So atom is made. In atom, there is a nucleus, and around the nucleus, right? Electron and nucleus. Now you give some amount of energy so that you can take out the electron. Now you have only nucleus. So inside the nucleus, you have proton and neutron. Now you separate proton and neutrons. You break the protons or you break the neutrons inside. So those particles are known as quarks. So quarks are the particles which make neutrons and protons. Yes?
Right, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Hello. Yeah.
Yes,
with
yes.
this, we are coming to the last part of the program, and in case you missed any part of this webinar, then please check our YouTube link. We are in YouTube with the KCM Connect. You can watch the entire program there, and you can write to us your questions, your comments in the comment box. Before we end, thank you, Dr. Nayak, for this fascinating, informative show on space, universe, and the topic that we all cherish. We are very much inquisitive about this particular issue, the scientific knowledge and all. And thank you, participants, for your participation and queries that you have asked. These are very attractive and, mind-boggling questions that even scientifics are very hard to answer. So we are concluding in this particular webinar here. Thank you everyone for this such a wonderful webinar. We will meet again on another interesting topic. Till then, Stay safe in your home. Thank you.
Thank you, our esteemed speaker, Dr. Jayati Nayak. Thank you from KCM Connect. Thank you all for attending this session. Have a good day.